Two big telecommunications companies, MTN and Vodacom, will be bidding for spectrum, which will result in cheaper data costs in the country. The long-awaited auction of broadband spectrum is underway. It kicked off earlier this week following several delays and hiccups, according to the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa, also known as ICASA. So far, Telkom and Rain Networks won the first round of South Africa's radio frequency spectrum auction, jointly spending 2.7 billion rand for low-frequency bands. Operators have waited for more than 15 years for spectrum licenses that are needed to lower data costs, roll out 5G and add 4G network capacity, as the process was slowed by years of legislative delay. The chairperson of ICASA, Dr. Keabetswe Modimoeng, joins us now via Zoom. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Of course, today, the main auction stage commenced where MTN and Vodacom are participating. Just give us some sense of the process, how it goes.
Thank you for the invitation and greetings to the viewers. Indeed, today is the commencement of the main auction stage. Everything is going well according to plan, and we really hope to build on the successes of Tuesday, wherein we raised just in excess of 2.6 billion rands through the acquisition of the spectrum by Telkom and Rain in the opt-in round. We really think we should be able to surpass, through the passage of time, our estimations, and so far everything is going according to plan.
Just in terms of, you talk about the monetary value, but just in terms of that spectrum, without getting too technical, how much did those companies actually get in terms of the frequency?
Yes, so they bought, across different bands. They bought, I think, in the 700 band and the 2600 band, as well as in the 800 band. So they bought according to their business strategies and needs. But in the main, the spectrum in the 700 band and 800 band is very good for wider coverage in your rural outflung areas, and spectrum in the upper bands, the 2600, is good for capacity. The rollout of faster broadband speeds, which is often referred to as 5G and 4G. So this will just depend on a particular bidder's business strategy. But today, it is wide open. All the bands are available, and they are busy as we speak right now, putting their bids and competing, contesting for the best chunk at the best price.
Does the auction in practice work like an auction that you would see, say, for real estate, and somebody kind of whacks a hammer on the table? How does it work exactly?
Yeah, the principle is the same. The spectrum will go to the highest bidder. I think that one, whether it's livestock auction, vehicle auction, or whatever, it will ultimately go to the highest bidder. However, more so with the introduction of the opt-in round, we were mindful to create room for smaller operators to at least have a first bite at the cherry, so that we do not compromise the competitive landscape along the way. Because if we did not introduce such a scenario, you would have a situation where, give or take, those with bigger pockets would come and buy everything. And we have also introduced spectrum caps to ensure that the bigger operators will not come with big checks and buy everything, tilt the competitive landscape in the country, and negatively affect issues of data pricing, voice pricing, which now will be at the detriment of consumers.
Yeah.
So it's a delicate balancing act, but we are confident that as the auction is proceeding today, all of these, nuanced aspects have been taken care of.
Of course, as I mentioned in the introduction, this has been a long time coming. Just remind South Africans of why this whole process is so important.
This process is very important indeed. It's the first time that we conduct an auction in our country. Spectrum has been licensed previously under the old Telecoms Act administratively in the 90s to Vodacom, MTN, 7 years later to Cell C in 2001 to try and induce competition. And ever since then, we today have 6 infrastructure-based players competing: Vodacom, Cell C, MTN, Rain, Liquid, and Telkom. So because of the competitive nature and the scarcity of spectrum, we needed to embark on a transparent process as ICASA to ensure that we will not be hauled before commissions of inquiries post the licensing process. Yes. Let everyone who really wants spectrum bid the highest price for it, the best price possible, but also obligations. Obligations are important. The connection of over 500 police stations, over 18,000 public schools, and so forth. So it's quite important. And so it's quite important that we don't only focus on what goes to the fiscus, important as it is, but we also ensure that this licensing process factors in very important societal benefits.
Yeah. Doctor, one last thing. We know that Telkom was challenging you in the courts and so on and so forth. Are you hoping that this process will put to bed that process? And where are you guys in terms of that dispute with Telkom?
Yeah, no, indeed, Telkom filed papers early in January, the first week of Jan, for an urgent interdict Part A and Part B substantive arguments. They later, on their own volition, withdrew Part A, which is the interdict. So we are not interdicted. That is why we are proceeding. And I think, as a form of breaking news, if I may, Cabinet has just announced a few hours ago, this morning, that it is in the process of reviewing the wireless open access network policy. And this was, in the main, the thrust of Telkom's argument in court. So based on what Cabinet has announced this morning, it means Telkom's case has further been weakened, compounded by the fact that, as we speak right now, Telkom is cooperating, is participating in the auction. So we as the regulator are going to stop at nothing to ensure that we defend public interest. We will not allow a situation where the aspirations of society, the endeavors towards the reduction of the price of data, that is very much needed by the poorest of the poor, university students, all efforts aimed at bridging the digital divide would be scuppered by what now appears to be pure commercial interest. Other parties are supporting us in this. The minister is with us, Vodacom, MTN, Rain, they are with us. So this, just on a balance of probabilities, illustrates who is really trying to pursue public interest. So we will defend the matter in court. The date is set for April. Telkom is participating. They cannot put one foot in, participate on the other side, try to play, hedge their bets. I think there's a lot at stake here, and the interest of South Africans need to be protected. And as ICASA, as a constitutional entity, we will do exactly that.
Dr. Modimoeng, Keabetswe Modimoeng, he is the chairperson of ICASA. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.